Hey y'all, welcome to call number 27. We only have two more, which is that. So today we're gonna discuss Naomi's earrings.
Christmas earrings.
Christmas earrings.
Because we have 2 weeks left in the year.
The festivities. Yes, we will be here the day after Christmas.
Yes, we will.
Because Lila will be on vacation. So we've, in this asking adventure, we've been very focused on asking other humans. And Naomi just brought up the fact that there are other realms that we can ask from. And I'm not sure that I forget very often. But I'm very used to shouting at my crew by now. And for those of you who are not familiar, my crew is my little slice of heaven. My angels, my spirit guides, my ancestors, God, whoever is available to listen to me have a toddler tantrum. That's who I'm talking to. Sometimes I speak to them like I'm an adult. Okay, most of the time. And then there's those snot pouring down, tears streaming, shouting into my car. If somebody walks past, they're probably going to think I need assistance moments. So yeah. Personally, I'm good with them either way. Like, it works when I'm just like, all right, guys, so I really would like that parking space. I really would like a new car. I really would like a car with no check engine light on in the first 5 years that I have the car. New ask that just emerged in this moment. But that's kind of new for you, Naomi, to remember that.
It is, which would probably appall my mother, because I was brought up in a very Christian home, went to a Christian college, so prayer is not a new thing at all. Have taken in sort of a different path. And I sometimes forget that, because I'm so accustomed to living here on the physical plane, let's just get this done. It's sort of my version of Lila's, I'm just going to fucking do it.
I can all do it myself.
Yeah, I can do this myself. I forget that I got all this help up here. I got all these people. Lila has been a really great reminder for me that I can chat with my crew about it. And the chat doesn't have to look like supplication and begging. It doesn't have to look like pleading. It doesn't have to please, oh, please, oh, please, oh, please. And as a matter of fact, the things that, right, those things that when I put them out there in prayer, when it's almost as though I know this is a done deal, but I'm saying it anyway. Those are the things that show up. Probably not shocking.
I was going to say, can you say that again?
Yes.
People in the back.
Well, the people in the back, you can hear me. It's those things that I put out there that it's as though I know it is already a done deal. Those are the things that show up. Or when I say it with conviction, where it's just like, I'm done. I know this is happening because fuck it. It's not happening. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not happening. I know it's a done deal because no, it is a done deal. Those are the things that show up.
Yeah. And that is manifesting 101. No matter what you wrap it in, if it's a vision board or a mantra, an affirmation, scripting, prayer, it's that knowing that, and not knowing how.
Yeah.
You didn't know how you were getting a new couch. We're a little excited about the new couch. I didn't know how I was getting a new car.
Right?
I didn't know how I was getting my apartment after I submitted my application and declined the job that I had taken in Memphis, declined the house that I had in Memphis, taken a new job here, enrolled my kiddos in school, and I'm sorry, your application was denied. Well, God, listen. I'm, my convicted conversation, my prayer that day went a little like this. I don't know what you need to do to make that no a yes, but I have put my kiddos in school. They have been here for a year. This is their home now. I am not going anywhere, so you need to fix it and fix it now.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not begging and supplication by any stretch of the imagination. And I'm sure that, you know, we always give God like that parent image. If that is the case, then I know the response that I got. Stop acting like your mother, because that's what I do to Lee when he's sassy. Stop acting like your mother. Fix it. Fix it now. And it got fixed. And we were in that apartment for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that it's the first time that I've ever had somebody say, oh yeah, you might need to put your bitchy pants on and have that conversation with your crew. You know what? Yeah, you might need to have the knockdown, drag out, yelling match with them because maybe you need to get their attention. And I think for me, that was as much for me to get my attention, to get out of the begging, pleading feeling and into the, this needs to happen. And I don't know the how, and I don't need to know the how because you keep telling me I don't need to know the how and worry about the how. You're going to take care of the how. This is where we're going.
Yeah.
And especially if I'm following your nudges, then you better effing fix it. Because if I'm following your nudges, then I know you're not going to leave my ass stranded. So get to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that it's been a huge shift for me. And I'm glad that you brought up your angels and your guides and your ancestors. That has been a really new concept over the last decade-ish, 12 years, since I started following the native traditions on spirituality. For those of you watching, no, I'm not appropriating. My husband is native. He's a native elder, and that's what got me going down this path. And there's a lot of inviting in of the ancestors in ceremony. And in the past, that would have just seemed completely out there, you know, good little Midwestern Christian girl, right? But also, I just wouldn't have thought to do that. But where do you think our wisdom is? Yeah. With our elders and those who've gone before? There's so much wisdom. And when they're standing behind you, waving their hands, trying to get your attention anyway.
Playing drums in your ear.
Oh, I've had that.
And for those of you watching, I'm low-key appropriating because I'm not trained, but I'm psychic superpowers, so they just talk to me and happens. That, and I'm sure somewhere in my lineage before Christianity arrived, there was ancestor worship. But yeah, like my mom is here and she hangs out and she talks. And my poet is here and he hangs out and he talks. And I used to see my grandfather, and my grandmother would show up whenever my mom would be separated from her mind. And so for me, shouting at my grandmother was not a foreign concept. Lady, I'm late. I get that you have stolen my keys because you probably want me to slow down, but making me even later for work is not the way to get me to slow down. So can you have my keys, please?
It's the way to stress me out.
And there are the keys. So that probably helped a lot with my willingness to be like, yo, people, fix this. Whether it's the car or the house or the things.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's been one of the interesting and fun pieces in all of this has been, where do you go to ask? Who do you go to ask? Is it that I need to tap into my local friends? Is it that I need to tap into my more global community? Is it that I need to go up here and ask? Is it my ancestors? Is it my crew? Is it God? Is it, or as my friend used to call it, the great cosmic muffin? Where do you go to ask?
Scoop out some of the soup.
Right?
My answer is yes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. When we have all of that at our fingertips and our resources, why don't we?
Conditioning.
Yeah.
Judgment, fear, lack of commitment.
Yeah. The conditioning, I think, especially whether it's that it's wrong to ask, like my little soapbox from last week. Also, I know, like for me, I've been married just over 6 years. Prior to I waited till I was in my mid 40s to get married. So that means I was alone a long time. I lived by myself a few times, or with crazy roommates sometimes. And so I was accustomed to doing stuff for myself. So I think you also get conditioned not just by what society says is appropriate to ask, you sometimes just get accustomed to doing it for yourself. And so I think that conditioning is a huge piece of it.
I'm glad you, go ahead.
I was going to say the reaching out, even getting accustomed to asking for help. Until this journey, I wasn't, in ceremony, would talk to the ancestors, that kind of thing, but not on a level or on a daily basis-ish kind of thing, like what this has been. So it's been an eye-opening piece. Yelling at the crew was a whole new experience.
And look, they didn't break up with you or abandon you.
I don't think so. They probably giggle a lot, actually. They probably like giggle and do this. That girl.
I can hear mine laughing.
Oh, I don't want to hear mine.
And I'm like, you assholes.
I don't want to hear mine laughing.
Fine. Be that way. But I mean, I'm sarcastic. I don't know how I expect them to be any different.
Well, and why would they expect us to be any different with them than we are with everything else, right?
Right. Yes.
It's not like Eddie Haskell showing up at Wally and Beeve's house. Gee, Mrs. Cleaver, you sure look nice today. No, they aren't. They don't want that shit. Don't do that. Don't pull an Eddie Haskell. For those of you who are like, who the hell is she talking about? I just dated myself in a big way.
It's okay though.
They were reruns.
Some millennial out there is super excited right now. Or
Why is it like really totally retro or something?
but
Or they
somebody is nerdy enough to know to get the reference.
Probably not. I can't imagine a millennial would be, but maybe.
And for the rest of you, leave it to Beaver.
Yeah. Google that shit. You look very nice today, Mrs. Cleaver. Yeah, they don't expect that from us. So.
No. And it's really interesting. I think another thing that supported me in this is being a trained prayer chaplain with the Unity Church.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up Baptist, and then I had some adventures in the Apostolic Church. And then I spent 3 years being devoutly Pentecostal, complete with speaking in tongues.
Oh, I would love to have seen you in that.
Oh my gosh, my
in
skirts,
that mode.
Okay, my skirts were cute, and my hair was always did. And I didn't listen to secular music.
Of course not.
I'm a very funny person. Side note, story time. So I read my Bible on the bus on the way to school in the morning. I took this habit of reading my Bible in like random moments to like not necessarily like be away from people, but to not be distracted by the world.
Uh-huh.
And so I worked a temp job, and at lunch I would read my Bible during my lunch break. And then I went to a Mardi Gras party with my coworkers, and I had on pleather pants, a halter with no back, and I was wearing a thong under said pleather pants. So my coworkers come in. I arrive early because I'm an on-time kind of person because I don't know how to party because I didn't go places when I was in high school. So I arrive on time and everyone else is fashionably late the way you're supposed to be when you go to a Mardi Gras party. So I am manning the music because nobody else is there. The hostess is still getting ready. That's how on time I was.
In your thong and your pleather pants.
My thong, my pleather pants. So I am like bent down, thong out. I did not know thong was out. Bent down, thong out, doing things with the music. Realize people have entered the room, stand up, turn around, and my coworkers all faux faint. They're all like, Bible girl? You're naked. I wasn't even Christian anymore at that point. I just liked my Bible.
Oh my gosh, that's really funny.
It's a great history book and a wonderful tool if you utilize it correctly.
That would probably take us into
the Bible
conversation that's a lot longer than what we want to have this call be, but absolutely.
We'll revisit it later.
Right? So definitely an interesting path. You and my half side could probably have some really great conversations about that kind of stuff. Because if there's a religion out there, he's pretty much studied it, been a part of it, immersed himself in it.
Yeah. History of world religions was my favorite college course.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. This weekend, one of the things that we talked about before we got on the call, part of what brought up the ancestors is in ceremony, we actually sing in the stones, the grandfathers, and we call in the ancestors and the spirit helpers. And there are...
Hold on. Spirit helpers?
Yeah, what you might call spirit guides.
Okay, go on. I got the image of fairy in my head. Go on.
I'm not gonna pass that one on to my half side. Like when I do Vision Quest, it's 405 prayer ties, and in a rattle there are 405 like of the little rattle pieces. There's 405 spirit helpers that will and there's 405 ways to do lodge. And, so we're in there, and that was one thing that Bear had reminded us to, because the ceremony we were in, it's all about connecting with Creator. At one point, one of the things, and this is probably my big ask right now, that Lila and I were talking about before the call, is clearing up this that's on my face. And I have somebody who's generously offered to, from a medical standpoint, take care of it, and is only going to pass on the pathology report, or cost. Not going to charge me for his services, which is just blew me away. Like, I totally ugly cried that day. But so sitting in there, and it's like, okay, what is it that I really want to focus on? And what is it that I want to give to the grandfathers, is what we call it. And what I realized is one of the things that I wanted to focus on is the physical healing. And so I decided that I needed to actually not just be praying about it, not just be putting it out there verbally, but I needed to actually have a physical way of removing it. And so in that prayer and asking for that help and that guidance and that healing, I just put my fingers around it and pulled out. And I actually felt it moving. And for me, being in there and feeling that physical response to a prayer, to the ask, was pretty profound. It was sort of this reminder that if we pay attention, if I pay attention and I ask, something actually physically takes place. So
I love that.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, really.
Why wild?
It was just the first time in prayer that I have felt something like that. Something that because what I felt, it wasn't just where my fingers touched, it was this moving and moving out. The only other time I've experienced that was Bear was doing some body work on me. And no, that's not code for sex, people. He was a body worker for like 20 years. And it was before I had cleaned up a lot of my crap. And so I was still shoving down a lot of anger. And he got to my liver, and my liver pushed back just like a baby kicks when you're pregnant. His eyes got wide, my eyes got wide, and it was just like, I think we're done right now. And it was the freakiest thing. And so
your liver was like, I'm not done being angry, damn it.
Apparently, yeah, it's like, we're not going there. Back the F off. But this was the first time that in prayer that I felt something physically shift like that. So that was also another reminder, to go ahead and talk to the ancestors, ask the spirit guides, ask the spirit helpers, and really be really willing to give it up, whatever it is. For me, it was this.
I love that. Why do you think now you're ready and willing to give it up versus until now?
I think there's a few things, but the loudest one that came up first was There's been a shift and I'm done. I'm done. I'm done being angry, and I know that anger is a part of this. There's some judgment and anger tied up in this from an emotional standpoint. And over the past 2 or 3 months, I've really seen some things that aren't working in my life that I'm just done. And I'm done doing this because it always takes two to tango, right?
Yeah.
So if my life's not working, whose responsibility? I don't want to say fault, but whose responsibility is it? It's mine. And it's like, well, stop doing the dumb shit stuff. It's like, stop doing the stuff that's creating the what's not working and start doing the stuff that creates the what is working. And the gratitude piece, the finding the gratitude for the parts that are working, maybe even for the parts that aren't. I know, crazy talk, right? Some of that extreme gratitude coming through, some of that Edwin Gaines, forgiveness and thank you. And there was just a different aha, because I have sat in ceremony 2 years ago and did prayer around this. I don't know if I can specifically pinpoint what was different about this time. But again, there was just more of this knowingness. Maybe it's also backed by, I know that I can have someone cut it out now.
That is always helpful.
Mm-hmm. There's a reassurance.
Yes. And I think that the work that you've been doing is the reason someone showed up and said, oh, I got you. I'll take care of this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool beans.
Yeah. So that was my asking experience this week.
My circuits are low-key fried, and I'm not remembering what I asked this week. I'm sure there's been asking. I'm fairly certain. One thing, though, that comes to me is the way you put conditioning, that it's not only societal conditioning, it's how our habits condition us.
Yes.
And so this whole living with my enjoyable other, well, that's been a fun reveal of conditioning.
Isn't it? Oh my God.
Weird. We are both weird humans. There's a car that I don't recognize in my driveway. Gonna find out at some point who that is. But we are both unique people with unique habits, and so I guess it's him, and his car just looks weird in the dark. So he has realized that he is just not accustomed to sharing space, sort of being a partner, because I don't think in the previous relationship there was like a partnership. And I am very committed to allowance, of like allowing people to be who they are, whoever they are, enjoyable other, children. That's the children, allowance for the children. Whew. Lord. Anyway, and so I've gotten to see how I've conditioned myself to be, the partner I've conditioned myself to be. and the expectations that I didn't realize I had when they butt against the allowance that I am. It's been fun.
Yes, so much yes. The the new living arrangements always bring up such interesting things, expectations we had that we didn't realize we had, definitions of partnership that and relationship that we didn't know we had, ways of communicating that we didn't know we had, or that we assumed isn't this how every normal human being operates and communicates.
Right?
Yeah.
Or
And I
luckily I have a Naomi to decipher things for me.
well, right. And vice versa. Sometimes I need a Lila to decipher my own shit for myself. Especially that. You are really great at letting people, allowing people, really meeting them where they're at, letting them be who they are. I think any of us in the healing profession, it's serves us to strive for that. And sometimes I'm going to suggest maybe that's kind of a challenge with teenagers.
With teenagers, enjoyable others. I don't care how enjoyable they are. Sometimes you want to throw them in the lake because they're not being enjoyable right now. Don't you know that you were supposed to fill in the blank?
Right?
And so, like, the commitment to allowance keeps me from throwing people in the lake. Because maybe they don't know that they're supposed to be the mover of heavy things. Or be this or that particular type of teenager. Don't you know yourself?
Well, especially, yeah, because as my husband likes to remind us, they're amoeba brains till they hit like 27. So, you know, it's funny because that's one of the asks that happened this week. Hey, when are you going to call that doctor? I wasn't quite awake enough, didn't have food on board. And my response when asked, because that's an asking, was almost a response of, I'll call the doctor as soon as you call yours because you've been talking about it for 3 years. So sometimes I'm less graceful at the allowing. And I'm working on it. So, yeah.
Ditto.
You do a great job of modeling that, I have to say.
Oh, thanks. It's part defense mechanism. I have maybe conditioned myself. Maybe I came this way. Who knows? But I don't typically react. If I react versus responding, it's probably because I've been mad at you for 9 months. I just finally. But typically, and particularly with my enjoyable other, I tend to breathe a lot and make sure that I am responding. In previous relationship, particularly my first marriage, I was just one big trigger. Poor dude was always like, what did I do to make you this angry little Pokemon?
You breathed wrong.
My friend posted a image that said what girls under 5'4" look like when they're angry, and it was this cute little Pokemon with a knife. And I was like, yes. So he was often very perplexed about why I was homicidal. It's because I've been mad at you since like 3 weeks into our relationship and I haven't processed any of it. So 12 years later, I'm stabby.
Right. Well, and now you're a lot better at processing that shit when it shows up for you.
And
And
I'm committed. Say that again.
And communicating.
Yes. And I'm committed to making sure that I am responding to the thing and not reacting to a trigger.
Yeah. Well, and the question is always, what about this is about me? Right?
Always.
Anytime you're triggered, what about this is about me? Because it's not about that other person.
Yeah. Always.
It's about us. If I get triggered on something, that's why I always, whenever I see trigger warning, I'm like, somebody who needs to clean up their shit, you know, and we all have triggers on different things.
Oh, we all, yeah, the whole planet. Like,
all of us do.
Yeah.
And if you're willing, it's a great place to ask yourself, because sometimes we can ask of ourselves, what about this is about me? What do I need to learn from this? What is it that I need that I'm not getting?
That has been the ask of the headache.
Oh, yeah. What is it that you need that you're not getting? If you trust your unconscious mind, what's the first thing that comes up? What do you need that you're not getting?
Remember the traffic jam? The thought traffic, that's what happened. It was bleh. I think because I was already mid-thought. So, do you want the traffic jam? The bed's vibrating.
Sure.
More time off the day job, more client work.
Mm-hmm.
Orgasms, probably because I've been listening to Mama Gina for 3 days. I'm reading Pussy right now. And the third thing escaped me, so I guess it wasn't that important.
So the time off from your day job, more client work. Trust your unconscious mind. Is that it causing your headache? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. So trusting your unconscious mind, orgasms, yes or no?
Yes, and it's the pleasure thing. Yeah, I've been putting off a bath for probably a week.
So can I ask something of you?
Yes.
Can we end this call and you go take a bath?
Yes.
I don't want to know the details.
Naomi people. This is the kind of peer pressure you need in your life.
Right? The good peer pressure. Not eat the 57th donut.
Put down the donut, go to the park.
Do another shooter, even though you're stumbling down drunk.
Poor liver.
Not the hay for $36.73. I'll give it to you. That's what's in my wallet if you go mess that guy's hair up when you're at the bar. No, those were some good friends too. But
I was gonna say, that one goes on YouTube.
Right? Yeah.
I'd do that for $37, but I'd probably end up with a boyfriend.
I was going to say, I was broke at the time, but I wasn't brave enough at that time to do it. Now I'd probably do it, even if it was like $3.77. Go take care of you, because taking care of ourselves emotionally, mentally, asking for those things that we need, even if it's asking ourselves to take the fucking break and go do what it is we need.
Go take a bath.
Yeah. That's where the joy is. And that's when the juice can come through, right?
There's probably an orgasm in a bathtub.
You don't need to tell me if there is, but I'll be happy for you. If you want to tell me, you can always text me. That might be TMI, but
It may be that kind. But that's not the kind I was talking about.
what you do in your bathtub, your business.
And sesame oil just gets better.
Wow. You're going to break out the honey dust once you get out. Wow.
You know what that is, and I feel like I need some.
How's your head now?
It's better. Laughter fixes everything. My cheeks hurt, but my head feels better.
Telling you what.
Okay. We usually end this call with a thing. Do we have a thing?
Well, since we kind of started out with talking about the ancestors, the crew, the angel guides, spirit helpers, whoever it is you got going on, and if you're like, I don't know what I got going on, explore that this week. If you got questions about who do I have going on, ask it.
Yeah.
Ask us right down there. Pop a little comment. But yeah, what do you need to ask your ancestors, your spirit guides? What do you need to ask them for help?
Let us know.
Yeah.
We will see you next week.